Colleges continue to consider race in admissions. That is the topic of today's video. My name is Craig Meister. I'm a college admissions coach. You can learn more about me and how you can work with me one-on-one throughout the entire college admissions process on my website, which is collegemeister.com. If you are a passing observer of the news, you may have heard that in 2023, the Supreme Court of the United States of America ruled that race cannot be considered in the context of making admissions decisions. Harvard and UNC lost their case in front of the Supreme Court because they were both found basically to have been making admissions decisions on the basis of race. And so many in the United States of America who read these headlines or news reports may have been of the belief that colleges and universities were no longer going to be considering a student's or an applicant's race when making admissions decisions. End of story. Well, that was not the case. And the reason it was not the case was because the people populating the colleges and therefore making the admissions decisions didn't change their value system overnight. And they're certainly not going to change their value system because members of the Supreme Court don't share their value system. So what happened instead was the college admissions community, and I'm not pointing to any one individual in particular, but sort of as a community, coalesced around the idea that colleges can very much still consider race when making admissions decisions. Now, you may say, how is that possible, Craig? That goes against the spirit and actual writing of the Supreme Court's majority opinion on June 29th, 2023, written by the Chief Justice Roberts. And you might be right, literally, but the Supreme Court doesn't have a police force to enforce its rulings. And so what the college admissions community did, realizing that, of course, is they had their lawyers sift through the entire ruling and come to the conclusion that, in fact, because the Chief Justice Roberts indicated in a few lines of his majority opinion that, of course, students can still write in their essays about how they've developed grit or other characteristics as a result of experiences that intersect with, maybe challenges or adversity they faced as a result of their demographic background, including race. Colleges ran with that and basically decided that they were going to no longer consider students' racial status when making admissions decisions. But they sure as heck are going to consider their students or applicants' racial experiences. And so I want you to understand this. I'm not sharing anything that the individuals at these colleges and universities who've made this decision have not shared themselves at public open forums and conferences. The big dividing line is the colleges, their lawyers, their PR professionals, their admissions offices, their presidents, who are continuing to consider race. And not all are, but many selective colleges are. Many, and if not most, are saying very openly that they will not consider a student's racial status in line with the Supreme Court decision. However, they have every right to consider a student's racial experience or experiences when making an admissions decision. So when I say that colleges continue to consider race when making admissions decisions, what that means is that they are sifting through the student's entire application to determine if a student is a representative of a demographic that they want to have on campus. And they're not going to say, well, we want the student on campus because of the student's racial status. we're going to want the student on our campus because of the student's racial experience or experiences. But in both cases, as you know, the word race has been used. So that's why this video is called Colleges Continue to Consider Race in Admissions, because that's exactly what is happening in the United States of America. Now, I cannot get in the Chief Justice's head, and I cannot get in anyone else's head for that matter. All I can go on is what is factually happening. And that is what's factually happening. So there are highly selective colleges and universities in the United States of America who this admissions season that has just passed, the 2023-2024 admissions season, no longer looked at the checkbox any longer of what the student checked as his or her demographics. Okay, that's in keeping in their minds with, or at least their stated minds with, what is the decision of the Supreme Court. But they also believe and or have coalesced around the idea that they are allowed to believe and allowed to practice reviewing essays to the hilt, reviewing resumes to the hilt, reviewing interviews or online videos uploaded as part of the application to assess the student's racial experience. And so if a student writes about his or her experience in the Black Student Union and how he or she has grown from that, the college can point to the fact that this is a really valuable experience we want to have on our campus. Because we need more students who've been in Black student unions and who have grown from it. And at no point has that college said that we are accepting the student because he or she is Black. But the student has the college in their mind, and the lawyers who are advising their minds, have informed them that they have every right to pick that student because the experience that student gained in the Black student union, as evidenced by either the resume entry about it and or the essay written about it, has developed in that student characteristics that college really wants in that student. So it's not because of his or her racial status we're accepting him. It's because of his or her racial experience. So that's where we are. Please be aware of it. I'm not making a judgment call on it one way or the other. I'm simply spitting facts. And these are facts that have been shared widely within the admissions community. I do not believe they have been reported out as much by the media in the United States of America in any sort of meaningful way, because there are many students and parents who, when I inform them of this, are flabbergasted. They're surprised. They thought this was settled and over with, but it's very much not, because of the way in which the consulting firms and the lawyers who are advising the admissions offices and university presidents themselves and the enrollment provosts themselves have coalesced around this idea and bifurcation. There's a difference between racial status and racial experience or racial experiences. And so if anything, colleges are casting a wider net for different racial experiences than ever before, as a result of their inability to officially consider anyone's racial status any longer. Now, whether or not this was the intention, again, of the Supreme Court or not, you'd have to ask them. I'm not on the Supreme Court. I'm just a little old college admissions coach who helps students navigate the college admissions process as successfully as possible. If you want to work with me one-on-one throughout the college admissions process, you can go to my website, collegemeister.com. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, or also consider subscribing to my channel. Until next time, stay safe, stay well, and most importantly, stay stress-free throughout the entire college admissions process.